Dr. Sharif Abdullah offers a unique, hopeful, and visionary perspective on the persistent challenges of our time. His perspective is shaped by his urban upbringing of poverty and violence, his Ivy League education, and his work with impacted communities in America and in 45 countries around the world. His spiritual outlook is rooted in the consciousness of dozens of religions, faith traditions, and spiritual practices. Sharif offers this unique viewpoint, helping us chart a course that explains where we've been, where we are now, and how we get to a positive future that works for all living beings.
Hello, Sharif here. And today I want to talk to you about the future. Or rather, I want to talk to you about why we don't talk about the future. We spend almost all of our time focused on the present, focused on actually some aspects of the present. We act as though the future is going to take care of itself. We act as though the different technological miracles that are coming down the pike will solve our problems for us, will address the problems. Or even if that doesn't work, some of us just wring our hands and, oh, well, I guess there's nothing we can do about it, and turn up the volume on the television. We've created a society of people that I call future starved. We've lost the capacity to think about our future. We're vision impaired. We've lost the capacity to think about a vision for our future. So when people hear me talk about creating a world that works for all, when they read the button, they'll say, "Oh, that's a really nice idea." And then they just go about whatever else they're doing, because there's nothing else out there that compares with calling forth a future that works for all. We think that we can keep doing the same thing over and over again, and that will produce a different result. We all know that as the signs of insanity. So we've got an insane culture, an insane society. I would even say an insane civilization. What will it take for us to come to sanity? What will it take for me personally? What will it take for you personally? But what will it take for all of us as communities, as working groups, as nations, as a human society? What will it take for us to get in touch with, to get aligned with our own future? What will it take for us to be able to say, I'm working for myself right now, but I'm also working for my children, my children's children, and the children of all species over all time? Now, we know we're not doing that. We know we're doing exactly the opposite. We are mortgaging our children's and our grandchildren's future so that we get more creature comforts right now. And not even for that. How many of us have adequate sums in bank accounts or stocks and bonds, etc., adequate for the rest of our lives, and still we're out there trying to acquire more? We're trying to get greater wealth. We're trying to get wealth that can't even be spent. There's nothing to spend it on. After you buy your 5 mansions and 2 jet planes and a small island in the Pacific, and you still have billions left over, well, you can waste a lot of time trying to get to Mars. The problem is, we'd rather do those things than face the reality that we're facing right now. that we as human beings have painted ourselves into a corner. We've painted ourselves into a corner and we're not getting out of that corner without stepping on a whole lot of wet paint. We need to recognize that regardless of the hot button issue that we are holding for ourselves or our tiny group, regardless of the hot button issues that are being fed to us by the media, we're in the Titanic. It's got the hole in it. It's going down. And it doesn't take very much future focus for us to see that things have to change. And they have to change very, very fundamentally in order for us to survive. And I would say that it's possible for us to thrive, to start thriving in ways that we're not right now. But in order to look at that, in order to accept that, we've got to accept that things are going to be different. Not worse, just different. I will not have available to me the time, the resources, the energy, the toys that I've had in the past. If I can let that go, if I can let go of the notion of I've got to have all this stuff, if I can let go of the notion of comfort, of what I call of what people call safety. Be safe, stay the same, don't change anything. If you can let that go, you'll see that there's another world waiting for you. It's just sitting there waiting for you. Now, along with being future starved, I'm talking about being vision impaired. It's like looking at the world with only one eye. Now, your eye works. You can see everything that you're seeing with two eyes, but you can't see it with depth. You can't see it in perspective. You can't see what's close up. You can't see what's far away. And having your vision impaired means that you can't fulfill your own destiny. And we have to be driven by our destiny. We can be driven by our destiny, but only if we open both of our eyes. This didn't always happen. There were people in our history, in our near-end history, who looked at the world and said, I see something different. We can do something different. In our political situation, the people that we call our founders were just looking at King George and saying, you know, we can do politics differently. We don't need a king. Let's think about what would the world look like if we didn't have a king. How could, and the question came up, well, if we don't have a king, how do we govern ourselves? It would be complete madness and chaos. And the answer was, well, we don't need the king. Each of us can govern ourselves. We can govern each other. We, the people, can govern. And that concept is something, the foundations of democracy is a vision that's gone around the world. Now, I call it a vision because we haven't done a very good job of actually implementing that. There's whole bunches of people that we leave out of the equation. But the equation is there. The vision is there. So right now, when I say to people that we can create a world that works for all living beings, they say, well, how can that happen? What would happen to the rights of all the corporations, for example? And I'd say that they would have no rights in a society where The goal is for all living beings to be well, all living beings to be secure, all living beings to be happy. Corporations can't be well, can't be secure, can't be happy because they're not living. They're not sentient beings, as the Buddhists remind us. So our challenge is, can we expand our vision to the point where we can say, in order to create a world that works for all, we have to create a world that has no poverty at all, nowhere. We didn't export our poverty from this group over here to that group over there. We didn't do what the communists tried to do, which was do this mass enforcement of sameness, that everybody gets 3 coats, everybody gets the same hat. It didn't work then. It would not work again. But we don't have to wait for that. We don't have to do that. We can think of something else. We're smart enough to do that. I'm holding the energy that we're smart enough to do that. And I'll talk to you next time about where that smartness would take us. What would happen if we operated from our visionary principles and not from the expediency of the status quo? I hope that you join me. And don't forget to subscribe to this, to hit the like button, let people know that you liked it. Don't forget to copy the URL and send it to somebody else that you know and have a conversation with them. Don't forget to take part in the conversation that's happening in the comments below. Don't forget to click on Patreon and help pay for this. You could be interrupted by 4 or 5 commercials where we're selling insurance or whatever the commercials are on YouTube. But we're not doing that because we're trying to create right now the society of our vision. And because of that, I'm asking you right now to let's pay for it and not do the commercial thing. Look forward to talking to you next time. Thank you.
You are invited to participate in the discussions and activities that will define a positive future for all. We are at the cusp of the expansion of our human consciousness beyond the limitations of our past. Together, we can envision a world that embraces our human potential. Together, we can create a world that can truly work for all living beings.